Hello, this is JY3. It's episode 27 of the My Team Lotus career mode, and we're here for the Dutch Grand Prix in Zandvoort. And I thought I'd start with a little bit of weather, which says it's going to rain for most of the qualifying, which is pretty interesting. That'd be one to keep an eye on. And the vehicle comparison, we haven't mentioned this in a while, but it says we're pretty much matching Mercedes now, which I don't really believe, because Mercedes have pretty much had the edge on us all season, and we've been more preoccupied with the Ferraris, if anything. But nevertheless, here we are in Zandvoort. Hopefully that'll be true. We can challenge the Mercs at this race, as they've got a pretty big lead after China in the championship, and into the wet practice one as well, so getting my eye on a little bit for qualifying probably. It's going to be wet then as well, but through track translation, pretty good there. Only 3 green corners, which I'm very happy with, and that's a purple in the track translation. And unfortunately, the deltas are very hard to get at this track, so didn't manage all of them, but this is the ones I did, and the fuel is the first one. Slightly down on fuel. We've got a bit of the delta in hand, so we can just lift off down the straight and cross the line in the green score, which we do just that and take the 30 points. I'm pretty happy with that. And then into the race program, very difficult to actually get the delta at all, but using all of the ERS overtake mode, we actually didn't manage it on this lap, but that's what I did in previous laps, and it just about paid off. So unfortunately only 30 points in that one as well, so yeah, pretty poor practice for me there. But into Q1 it's actually still dry just about, and we've got to get out as soon as possible and set a lap very early, because it's going to rain pretty soon, and we've got a not great run there. And this is my first lap, and we're stuck in the of Ricardo as well. And we've got one of the Red Bulls right behind me too, and yeah, very compromised first lap, but run the final corner onto this lovely banked part of the track, and coming up to the line, maybe a little bit of slipstream from the Renault ahead, and up to the line it's not going to be great. I don't think it's only a 9.5 actually, so slower than Albon and Ocon at the minute, and that leaves me in 16th place. So we really need to get another lap in, because it's almost going to rain like imminently now, and we're just about up on the previous lap, getting a much cleaner run without the dirty air of Ricardo this time. We're a tenth and a half up, and coming up to the line, it's not going to be a massive improvement. It actually dropped into 17th, so we really need to get into the top 16. It was just about done that into 14th place. And luckily for me, the rain came before anyone else could improve. So yeah, you might just about be able to see it, but it's pretty much now that it started. So I timed that pretty well there on my second set of softs. And as Jeff says, the rain is here. So luckily for me, we scraped through in Q1. No one else improved, but we're 9/10 off Carlos Sainz. I mean, it's only a minute 9 lap time, so that's pretty appalling, really, being that far off my teammate. But we scraped through, and as we know, it's going to be wet for for Q2 at least, maybe even rain for qualifying. My first lap in Q2 through the section, pretty much my first real high-speed laps in the wet on this track. So try and keep it nice and calm and taking a lot of entry apex speed and getting nice exits. That's really crucial in the wet. Slowing fast out everywhere, but that was not fast out at all, that oversteer through the middle sector there. But at the end of the lap, and it's going to be pretty slow. I think I'm not too good in the wet anyway, and it almost hit the wall there. We did brush the wall actually, just about avoiding damage, but loads oversteer through the banking section, and we're up into 11th actually, which is better than I thought it would be, to be honest. Maybe the AI aren't as good in the wet, but yeah, at the end of the lap it actually started improving the track, so we're almost 8/10 up now, trying to get a good exit onto the DRS straight, with obviously no DRS this time, and also a load of oversteer, which hasn't really helped, but into the Verstappen section of the track, which doesn't really narrow it down, but nonetheless into second gear for the nice P section, and just about up on my time at half a second actually, and we're trying to gain even more time through the banking, but turned a little bit early there, but we're 7/10 up now, we can get a good exit. And it might be enough to get into Q3 for back-to-back-to-back races, which is quite strange. You wouldn't really have expected that around here, because that was pretty shocking around here last season. But we actually finished in, I think, 7th, was it, or 6th maybe? It was actually 5th. I underestimated myself there. But yeah, 5th place at the end of Q2. We've actually ahead of Sainz for, I think, the first time in any session this season. But yeah, both through to Q3, which is very good. The 2 Ferraris, 2 Mercedes, 2 Red Bulls, and the 2 Racing Points, making it only 5 different teams in the top 10, which is not something you see too often in real life. But into Q3 now, my only lap in Q3 actually dried up once again, all over those curbs, which is not too good. I'm really still struggling. Obviously, I've tried to learn this track with no line. I did a race one day last season, of course, but that was absolutely shocking, my race route last season. So yeah, I still don't know the perfect lines, and you can see at the end of the lap, I'm almost a second down on Perez, which is really not what you want to see, and especially going to be even more down after messing up that corner so badly, all over those curbs, which are huge, and you really don't want to be going anywhere near them in the dry or in the wet even. But yeah, hopping over the exit curb quite a lot there for the banking section of the track. And it's probably going to be another 10th place, I'd imagine. And coming up to the line, we were a second off for Perez before, and yeah, a second off for Perez at the end there. And it's, unfortunately, once again, for the 3rd race in a row, we've qualified in 10th. Getting to Q3, but can't do much more than that. So, once again, 9/10 off Sainz, but the car pace was pretty poor, really. For some reason, Verstappen qualified 5th on Inters, which I just wanted to check it out, but no, definitely on dries there. But yeah, Sainz only 7th, which is pretty poor by his standards. So, yeah, luckily, because Q2 was wet, it allows us to do a one-stop, but unluckily for me, that means everyone else is also going to do a one-stop strategy from whatever tyre they want. So most people will start on softs, I think. I'm on the medium tyres for the race, but 5 red lights here from 9th on the grid. Someone had a penalty, and it's quite a long hold, but we're eventually away. Perez and Albon are going to be pretty difficult to get off the line with those soft tyres on. Sainz is bogged down a lot on those hards. We're ahead of him already, and now into turn 1, trying to make nice and late. Albon and Stroll going, Albon and Perez going wheel to wheel. And it's through turn 1, can't really make anything happen there, but Perez having to take a narrow line, can swing one all the way around the outside of the turn 3 and into the hairpin of turn 4, and it's pretty nicely done there, and up into 6th off the line, so 3 places gained, pretty good. But we saw in qualifying, Sainz only qualified 7th, which usually he would do better, which means that my race pace would be pretty poor if that's anything to go by, and yes it was. 7 laps in, it's such a hard track to overtake on. But I was not doing any overtaking because Albon's already 5 seconds up the road. So yeah, the Red Bulls here were far too fast for us today, especially on the mediums compared to their soft tyres at the start. I just thought the mediums were a better bet because you can then do something different if safety car comes out or anything. But yeah, lap 12, nothing happened. Such a lonely first stint. We're up into 6th at the minute. A few cars are in the pits, Hamilton and Vettel. And also behind me, you can see Stroll is in the pits. I was really preoccupied with defending from Perez and Stroll rather than actually attacking anyone. And you can see Hamilton has almost got a pit stop on us already. And we're meant to be battling him for the championship. Yeah, that's gone down the pan pretty much in the last 2 races, if there's anything to go by. And unfortunately, Stroll is going to get an undercut on me as well, so it's going to be hard to keep him at bay, sorry. And yeah, up into 3rd though, and 1 lap later, I'm going to cover off the undercut of Stroll and pit this lap. Even though I'm on mediums, it's pretty much the same strategy, just I thought mediums were a better race tyre, which they probably were a little bit, but it was hard to tell really. And into the pit lane for the hards for the rest of the race. 13 laps in, the first stint was so lonely, despite having Perez close behind. He never really had a chance to overtake with such difficult to follow at this track. And onto the hard tyres, it's going to be so close, I think, with Stroll, because obviously he was behind me but had the undercut. So down the pit straight, you can see on the mini-map, Stroll's actually nowhere to be seen. There he is coming now, but it's going to be quite easy ahead of him. So yeah, surprising that, but apparently the mediums weren't really losing too much pace. So maybe I've gone a bit early on the undercut there, on the covering off the undercut, because it doesn't seem to be too powerful. But Leclerc has actually got ahead of Stroll as well. Here's the one who had the penalty, so he started behind me. And now Gasly is in the pits, and so is Sergio Perez. You can see the pink car on the mini-map. We've got to try and stay ahead of him. He's the one who was right behind me. It's going to be very, very close now between me and the Mexican, and he's going to have just about track position. But around the outside, as we did on lap 1, we're over the curbs onto grass almost there, but we've just about got the inside line for the hairpin. That was pretty sketchy stuff. And our Perez still on the outside, so we're going to be side by side up the hill with the Mexican driver in his racing point. It was so close battling, still side by side. You don't want to be running side by side through this corner, but we're going to be trying it looks like, with the racing point man. And round the outside, he's trying to force me over those curves, so we're still at the outside line for the next corner and try to force him over the inside curve, give him a bit of his own medicine, and just about taking that place, just about holding off. Amazing racing really with Perez there. That was unbelievable stuff, and we managed to hold what will be 7th place eventually, as Kvyat peels off into the pits just as we caught him. Actually give me a little bit of DRS there and setting a pole final sector somehow as well. But yeah, quite a long way into the race now, and Sainz on those hards has come out of the pits on mediums. He's just about going to come behind me, but he's effectively overcut Perez and Stroll. Actually, Stroll just sort of dropped off the back quite quickly this pack, but Sainz on his mediums has definitely got more pace than me at this point. So I was going to, as the team principal, make a bit of a snap decision to let him through, because yeah, he's definitely got the pace, and just putting some team orders into effect, there's no point holding him up. Hopefully he can go and chase after Albon. Obviously it doesn't matter for the team's championship, and my own championship, it doesn't really matter anymore apparently, because Hamilton's going to dominate this race apparently. But behind me you see Leclerc has actually pulled off to the side of the track. From directly 2 places behind me. He's out of the race, so Ferrari really struggling with their reliability. Vettel currently on 1 point in the championship, and now Leclerc having a bit of bad luck. So yeah, unfortunately that's caused a safety car, which I decided to try and take advantage of and peel off into the pits. I just thought it was worth a gamble. The car pace around here, the field spread was insane, so you can see Ocon and Ricciardo 7 seconds and 10 seconds back, so we're not really going to lose that much time. We'll lose these positions, but then Gasly another 13 seconds, so we're going to come out pretty close with him I think, and we're on to soft tyres for the rest of the race, and hopefully that will pay dividends, because the Red Bulls and the Ferraris, or the only remaining Ferrari of Vettel, won't be pitting. Unfortunately I've come up behind Kvyat and Gasly in 13th place, but I was thinking maybe we can try and make something happen here. Obviously the safety car has handed a big chance to Carlos Sainz on those fresh mediums compared to everyone else's old hards. It's closed the gaps up massively. He's still running in 6th I think, but yeah, meanwhile I've got to try and clear Gasly and Kvyat as soon as possible. The 2 former teammates from AlphaTauri. Of course Kvyat moved to McLaren for me this season in my career mode, but try and get straight on with it on Kvyat and sending one down the inside of turn 1, and on Gasly as well on the hard tyres, really making our moves, and he's going to turn into me quite a lot there. But nothing you can do to hold me off, and straight on the back now of the 2 Renault cars of Ocon and Ricciardo on those dead hards, which, yeah, my Lotus is definitely faster than, so we really need to get on with it and focus our attention on the 2 racing points to get back where we started. But Ocon and Ricciardo are pretty quick in a straight line, so we're going to have to struggle to get past them that easily, and it's a very difficult track to pass at the best of times, so hopefully we can make something happen. Almost making a crash happen there, getting on over that curb and almost binning myself off very quickly after the restart. But until like 26, a few laps later, and Ocon has nothing to fight with. He's in saving ERS mode. You can see in the red lights flashing. I go down the outside off turn 1, and just a superior grip of these tyres, allowing me to go all the way around the outside and taking that place up into 10th currently. But we can hopefully focus on Ricciardo straight away. Maybe even line up a switchback move here into the hairpin there. I take a pretty weird line through there, but he's covering up the inside line, which means my exit hasn't been fantastic, and nothing doing there up the hill. But 1 lap later at 27, and DRS I think will be enabled this lap. It's not enabled yet, unfortunately, but nonetheless, we're close enough to Ricciardo. He's using his as you can see, no red lights flashing, and going to send one on the inside, but not really that committed there over those curves, almost into the pit wall there, which wouldn't have been great. But yeah, into the hairpin once again. Maybe try and line up a switchback again as we tried last lap. It didn't really pay off, but this time going even wider and try and get an even better exit, and we've done just that, and the exit has been incredible. We're going to go side by side with the Australian in his Renault up the hill here, using all the overtake mode we can over those curves, side by side with the Renault driver, and running outside with we did this with Perez earlier, it just about worked, and this time Ricciardo has to back out pretty early there. And we've taken that position. Lovely move up into 9th at the minute, and now we can focus our attention on the Canadian maple merchant Lance Stroll, and into the DRS wide open now. Much better pace on these softs, as they're still pretty fresh. We've been on them about 7 laps now or something, but we're close enough for ascend into turn 1, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And we can focus on Sergio Perez. Unfortunately, Sainz has made no progress in the other Lotus. You can see he's still 6th behind Albon in the Red Bull, and the Mercedes and Ferrari of Vettel are absolutely gone, so not a chance that we're getting anywhere near the top 3. But if the progress is good, which it hasn't been good, you can see on the lap counter we're now starting lap 35, and Perez unfortunately was just about too fast for me. The soft tyres obviously losing their edge as the stint went on, but maybe close enough for a chance on Perez into maybe just line up a switchback as we did on Ricciardo. But no, the exit has been absolutely appalling, and unfortunately not close enough to Perez for anything similar to what we did on Ricciardo. But this time Sainz has actually got Albon, so yeah, he's up into 5th. So luckily both Lotus cars making a bit of progress at the end of the race, but starting the very last lap now, so it's pretty much the last opportunity we're going to have down into turn 1. All my ERS is gone, and it's turn 1 braking nice and late, and this time getting a pretty nice exit there, and just about close enough for some pressure on Perez, and hopefully into this hairpin section we can try a switchback as we did on Ricciardo, going pretty narrow though, and Perez just about has the same line as we do, and the wash of dirty air means that his exit is going a lot better, especially with oversteer like that. And unfortunately looks like we're going to have to settle for 8th place, which is pretty poor of a whole flurry of cars saying fastest lap. But luckily my teammate Sainz was the driver who secured it at the end, but unfortunately for me it's going to be 8th for the second time this season. We've got 8th place. Yeah, not great, I'll be honest, but maybe we could have beaten Perez if we stayed on the same strategy, but I just thought it was worth the risk. I don't want to just sit in 7th all race, to be honest. Sainz luckily getting 5th place, which is probably the best we could have got really. The Ferraris and the Mercedes were too fast for us today, and so were the Red Bulls really, but strategy playing into Sainz's hands to beat one of them. But unfortunately that drops myself from 4th into 6th as Verstappen goes past the pair of us, and Sainz overtakes me in the championship again. And down into 6th place with 50 points off Hamilton now, as his back-to-back wins really catapulting him into a very commanding position. We're still second to the Red Bull, are very close behind, but 83 points off Mercedes already, which is, yeah, pretty poor, although we'll have to see what we can do later in the season. But yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you haven't, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more. This has been JM83, and I'll see you next time.